Can I feel more comfortable here. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
And I feel much closer. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
It's a great honor to be here with you and to be able to share some thoughts this morning. As Dr. Young shared, I had the blessing to be able to come and give divine principle. And so that's what I've been doing the last 5-6 days. That's also always a blessing. And it always revives me and gives me lots of life. Okay, so my topic this morning has to do with the first fallen nature. Does anybody know what the first fallen nature is? Yeah, our failure to see God's viewpoint. So thank you, Renette, your testimony. She emphasized to find God's viewpoint is most important in our life. And so this is one of the things we have to fight every day, is not to see things with the wrong viewpoint. Anyway, my sermon is based upon a story. I think it's a Korean story, kind of an old Korean tale. Maybe you've already heard it before, so it won't be new. The title that I got was The Tigers Whiskers. Anybody knows the story of the Tigers Whiskers? Who doesn't know that story? Isn't that a couple of people? I'll tell you the story, maybe you've heard it. This is what I know of the story. It could be the wrong version, I don't know, but please bear with me. Anyway, there's this woman, she's married to a very difficult man who gets very angry and, maybe even violent sometimes. Really difficult husband. So she's going to give up hope, but then she goes to visit a famous shaman. And she asks, is there anything I can do about my husband? And the shaman says, yes, there's one way you can solve this problem. I can prepare a special potion for you. The problem is, the potion requires the whisker of a tiger. It's difficult. But because the shaman said, yes, there's a solution, she then goes out to the mountains and she finds where the tiger lives. And so she's thinking, how can I get the whisker of the tiger? And she prepares food for the tiger. And she puts food out there when the tiger's not around. And the tiger comes and eats the food, right? And every day she puts food there. And slowly she begins to appear after putting the food there. So the tiger sees her, right? And then each day she moves inch by inch, closer and closer to where she puts the food. After a long course, finally, she's right next to the tiger, feeding the tiger. The tiger falls asleep. She takes out her little scissors, clip, gets some whiskers, and brings the whiskers to the shaman. She's so excited because now she has a solution for her husband. And the shaman greets her and she says, I have the tiger's whisker. And the shaman laughs and says, there's no potion. She's so disappointed. And the shaman says, if you have the courage and the perseverance to win over the tiger, get the tiger's whisker, no problem, you can win over your husband.
True.
So I like that story. I like that story. And for me, there's a couple lessons which I want to relate to finding God's viewpoint. What was her struggle? See, the problem with the woman was she didn't believe there was a way to solve her husband's situation. Right? She thought, this is hopeless. There's no way. So she was going to give up. What the shaman did was, the shaman said to her, yes, there's this magical potion. It's going to work, right? So when she had that confidence, when she had confidence that it would work, something would work, then she was willing to go through even, winning over the tiger, right? I mean, it must have taken, many, many weeks and in the mountains and difficult. But she was happy to do that because she knew if she got those whiskers, she would be able to win over her husband, right? So that's very important, okay? Is that she gained confidence through the words of the shaman. Okay? So the question we have to ask ourselves, do you have confidence in what you're doing as a blessed couple or as members of this church? I think some of our members, they don't have such strong confidence. And that's why sometimes we don't always feel the strength and motivation to be able to do the things we know we need to do to save this world, right? And to be successful in our communities. Anyway, when I met this movement, I was an atheist. I come from a kind of a scientific background. I was studying chemistry at UC Berkeley in California, and I didn't believe in God at all. And when you look at the surface of things, right, the world is pretty bad, right? I thought, there's no God, there's no way there's a God. Thousands and thousands and thousands of years of human history has all been suffering and misery and war. And I just didn't believe there could be a God. Right? But when I heard the divine principle, what the divine principle did for me was, it helped me look deeper, right? Like underneath the surface. So in the case of the woman, right, underneath the surface of her husband there, her husband has an original mind, right? Does everybody believe that her husband has an original mind?
Yeah.
Does everyone believe that her husband is destined to become the Son of God?
Yes.
We all believe that, right?
Thank you.
So she just wasn't able to look and see that reality of her husband. So for me, for example, I could not see below the surface of all the evil and suffering in the world. I just couldn't see beneath that. But when I heard the divine principle, it really opened my eyes to see something deeper. I don't know what affected you, but the thing that affected me the most was human responsibility. That's what I had not figured out. Right? Is that God had actually created us and given us a certain portion of responsibility. Right? So we have the freedom to exercise our responsibility. So the person who was lecturing me said, you know, it's not that God isn't coming to us, or that God has turned away from us, or God's not helping us. The problem is we, people, have turned away from God. Right? That's why you don't see God in the world. Is that people turned away from God by their own portion of responsibility. And until they turn back, they're not going to be able to find God. Right? That makes sense, right?
Yes.
Like if God is this direction, and I choose to turn in this direction, then can I demand, oh, I have to see God, show me God. Hey God, is God going to move? Is God going to change from being God? No. So God is saying to us, you know, your responsibility is to turn back. So for me, that understanding which I gave from the divine principle, wow, that was amazing. Incredible. And I saw the possibility, oh, God does exist. So the point is, the divine principle helped me look below the surface a little bit deeper than before. So in history, we have many examples of this. When I was teaching, one that came to mind, especially during this last workshop I taught, that was John the Baptist. John the Baptist looked at Jesus just on the surface. Right? He didn't look deeper, even though God tried to tell him that he's the Messiah. But the reality that Jesus was his younger cousin, was illegitimate, right? Was from a lesser place than him, lower than him. And the fact that he was confident the Messiah would come as this glorious being, right? In the Bible, he says, I'm not even worthy to touch his sandals. That's what he says. Like there's some kind of amazing, person. So he had this concept about Jesus, which was wrong. It was just looking at Jesus on the surface. And he failed his mission, right? And caused actually the crucifixion of Jesus and incredible suffering for humanity. Okay. And how about the world? How does the world look at Jesus? On the surface, right? When Jesus was crucified, he looks the same as any of the other thousands and thousands of people who were crucified, right? Doesn't look any different. But actually, the crucifixion of Jesus, if you look deeper at his heart, it was unlike any other. It actually could pay the price for humanity's sin. Another example I like to refer to often is ham. You know the story of Noah and Ham? Yeah, this is very important for us to study this one, especially second generation. Who's second generation? Two people. Yeah. So Ham was second generation, right? So Ham, he looked at his father, who was a little drunk and naked, and he looked at that situation on the surface. He didn't go deeper, to look deeper. Yeah, it's terrible. You know, you shouldn't be drunk, you shouldn't be naked like that, right? That's not the right way to be. It's not proper. So you would think naturally he'll get upset with his father. Usually, always God gives us a reason to look deeper. God gives us some reason, right? Like with John the Baptist, God gave him a vision and the voice which said, "This is my son in whom I'm well pleased." How about Ham? What did God do for Ham to make him look deeper? Pardon? Yeah, a flood. His father predicted for many, many, many years this flood. Everyone thought he was crazy. He built this boat. They all thought he was crazy, right? And then the flood came. And Ham's life was saved. His wife was saved. His two brothers and their wives were all saved because of Noah had heard the voice of God, right? So that's a good reason for him to stop before judging his father, right? And just taking a moment to think a little deeper. Go a little bit down deeper. You know, all he had to do was go to his father and say, "Hey, Dad, you know you're naked? Hey, Dad, you okay?" If he had had any kind of concern of his heart towards Noah, he would have succeeded his mission. But instead, he didn't do that. He just looked on the surface and judged by the surface, and he made a huge mistake. So I know some second generation, your parents have done crazy things in our church. But before we judge them, you have to think a little deeper why they did that and the purpose and meaning behind it. Okay, let's keep going. So what about River Moon? What about our true father, true parents? If you look at them on the surface, many people think, he's nobody special. Another religious leader. Or he says he's a religious leader. You know, he just wanted people's money, or he wanted power, or whatever. But on the surface, they think he's nothing special. And his family has problems, and there's nothing special. Right? So if you look at the surface, at our true parents, right in the immediate situation, we don't see something special, necessarily. That's why we have to look a little deeper and to see the value of our true parents. So I have a whole list of points. I won't go through them all, but first of all, what did true parents give to us? And why should we look a little deeper? What kind of signs did our Father give to us? Some of us had spiritual experiences, right? For me, I was really moved by the divine principle. I never, ever was told by anybody that God was suffering. Right? Father is the first one who revealed to me that my heavenly parent, God, is suffering, that he loves every person, and that he is in agony, wanting every person to come home. Did you ever hear anyone teach that kind of teaching before? I've taught a lot of places, I've taught a lot of people from a lot of different religious backgrounds. I never, ever met anyone who had even that kind of thought about God. So I realized, wow, true parents gave me the true God, right? The real God. Not just some theological concept, but true parents gave to each of us the real, living, kind of open heart of God who loves us, right? That's an amazing point. He revealed to us the root of sin. He revealed to us the true heart of Jesus. Right? It's also amazing. I grew up, my parents were Christian, and so I grew up in a Christian church when I was young, before I became an atheist. But it's kind of like true parents are giving the true Jesus to Christianity, to everyone, that they can really know who he is. I'm still shocked today that the Christian faith doesn't recognize our true Father. When I was a kid, I remember in school they taught about Judas. You know the story of Judas? Yeah, my teacher said to me, you know, we don't know who's going to go to heaven, but for sure Jesus is there and the apostles. And we don't know for sure who's in hell, but he said, for sure Satan is there and Judas. So as a little kid, I used to feel kind of sorry for Judas. You know, I kind of imagine him burning in hell forever and ever and ever. And then you have the passage in Scripture where Jesus, who I was taught he came to die, right? He says to Judas, who betrays him and lets the crucifixion take place, right? He says to Judas, it would have been better if you had never been born. Right? Now, how could you have that Jesus, right, be the Son of God who came to die for our sins? Does that fit at all, do you think? Right? Why would Jesus say to the one that God is using to fulfill the will of God, it would have been better if you had never been born? Does God look at anyone, even the most evil person, and does God think, I wish you never existed? Doesn't God want to save us? And isn't the heart of Jesus to want to save every person? Anyway, I realized that true Father gave to me Jesus, the true Jesus. And I wish that the Christian world could see what a great gift Father's given them, is that they can finally understand the true heart of Jesus and his words to Judas, his prayer in Gethsemane, and so many other important stages of Jesus' life. Instead of there being this huge contradiction and confusion, actually now we can understand him fully. Anyway, these are things that I believe true Father gave to us. Yeah. True Father helped us understand about John the Baptist, right? When I was a kid, I was told he's the greatest saint. He was one of the great saints. But Father revealed to me that that's not the case. And when I went back to look at Scripture, he was right. And Father gave me the blessing, right? Who here are blessed couples? Any blessed couples here? Yeah. Anybody was at Madison Square Garden, 2075? 2075 couples, yeah. Not the year 2075. That's our great-great-grandkids that will be there. Hopefully by that time, Madison Square Garden will be way too small. Okay. Anyway, Father gave you the blessing, right? The restoration of lineage. So for all these things, for all these reasons, we need to look deeper at who Father is and understand that the way of restoration is very complicated. Right? Father taught us through history. It's a complicated history. And sadly, in 1945, true Father was rejected and went the way of crucifixion instead of the way of glory, just like Jesus. And Father went through the prisons and the torture and the beatings. It's incredible that Father lived through that. And after that, he sacrificed his family. He sacrificed everything, for 40 years to restore the foundation that was lost in 1945. So that in 1985, he could kind of make a new beginning. And by 1992, true Father, 7 years later, could proclaim true parents to the world. So it's been a very difficult course. That's why we have to be very careful not to judge Father on the surface, as the world wants to do. But we have to look deeper, and our job is to help the world look deeper to see who Father is. Another point, we have to be careful about our blessing. We may think on the surface, wow, I got the blessing, and my children will be born without original sin, so our kids are going to be so much better than other kids, and our families will be so much better than other families. Did you ever think like that before? Okay. So that's thinking on the surface. That's not really seeing God's viewpoint. That viewpoint is a little bit like the Christians, okay? Christianity. Christianity thought, we are chosen, right? When the British went out to the world, right? You ever hear the expression, God is an Englishman? Right? We're the chosen people. We're the Christians, right? We're the ones who believe in Jesus. And they went to India and China and all around the world. Right? But they didn't understand what it meant to be chosen. They didn't look deeper at the meaning. We know the divine principle. God needed somebody to pay the indemnity, which had the failure of the providence in the crucifixion of Jesus. Right? So God had to build and indemnify 2,000 years of history, beginning with 400 years of suffering, death, martyrdom, for tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of Christians in the first 400 years. Tortured and put to death. So Christians were chosen by God because He loved them the most, because they were connected to Jesus, and God was asking Christianity, will you please suffer for me and pay the indemnity of history so that I can send my Son again? So chosen doesn't mean being lifted up, hey, you're better than other people. Remember the disciples of Jesus, right? They were arguing, who can be at His right hand, who will be at His left hand. They were thinking with that kind of thought. So sometimes in our movement, I see that kind of thinking. Oh, who's going to be up there in this position? Who's going to have this position? And, oh yes, we are blessed people. And, oh, look at my children, how they are so wonderful because they are blessed children. And see how they are better than other children. I don't buy that. I don't believe that. Okay, their birth is special because God can claim them as His children. That's it. The position of their birth has been changed. That's all. Right? Because of the fall, Satan can say to God, these children are born from the love that I initiated. That's why they belong to me. And when a blessed family has a child, God can say to Satan, these children are born from the love true parents initiated, and they belong to me. Besides that, our children are not more special. Except that, hopefully, they will feel called and be willing to sacrifice to help the world be saved. That's what our Father did, right? When Father got the blessing in 1960, did He say to God, okay, God, now I'm victorious. You can get rid of all the other people. And, this is it. No, instead, Father, who got the blessing, then turned back to save us, right? And He went a horrible course to save sinful people. So that's our job, is to save sinful people. So yes, blessing is a wonderful thing, and to have blessed children is an incredibly precious thing, but we're really chosen with true mother now, true Father in heaven, to turn around and to be the ones to offer the most and give the most to help the world come to God's point. So that's why I want to say, we should not look at the blessing on the surface as some kind of rosy thing, but we need to look deeper at God's viewpoint, what it really means to be chosen family or blessed family. Right? Last point, or last couple of points, are how you see yourself. Right? Please don't look at yourself on the surface. We all have problems. I have problems. Even the people who look like they've got it all together, look so good, and externally, they have problems too, okay? So the world wants to say that you're nothing. Something in you wants to say to you, you're nothing. Like, discouragement is a very powerful, deterrent to the building of God's kingdom. When blessed families and members become discouraged, oh, I'm no good, I can't do it, then we can't go forward. It's like the woman and her husband, right? She felt like, oh, it's hopeless. My husband always upset, always angry, I have no hope. So she was defeated, right? But the shaman said to her, look deeper. It's possible. You can change your husband, right? So I want to say to all of us here, and myself also, please do not believe what the world says about you, and also that part of your mind which sometimes says, I'm not so good. Why my nose has to be this way? Or it can be sometimes small things, sometimes it's big things. The final point is, in the story of the woman, is that she didn't try to do it all at once. She went step by step, day by day. She didn't just go run into the forest and try to jump on the tiger and clip off some whiskers. It would not have succeeded, would it? She'd probably get eaten up. swallowed by the tiger. So she went step by step, okay? So the important thing is we find God's viewpoint, we gain confidence through that, but then you have to act. And you should act in the beginning, just small steps, but do them consistently. If we do that, we will win victory, I promise. The problem is members who don't actually move. We get inspiration, we get ideas, we get all kinds of, maybe dreams, spiritual experiences, right? But we don't actually move to do, right? So this woman, she went and she prepared food, she went in the mountains, and she put that food where the tiger was. So she made that effort. My wife is from Indiana, and she has an expression. Okay? And the expression is, by the mile, it's a trial. You all know the word trial? It's like, really difficult. By the yard, okay, it's hard. But by the inch, it's a cinch. Cinch means very easy. And if you go step by inch, who knows, at some point you will be able to go a yard, or you'll be able to go 1 mile. God will provide a way for that. Sometimes He will, sometimes He won't. But if we're determined, I'll go step by step by step. Absolutely, you will get there. You will win the victory. So that's why the message I want to end with is, please find God's viewpoint. Always look deeper. Right? Sometimes that means prayer. Always please do hundake, get Father's words. And then please go about your life and do things for God's will, even if it's just small things, step by step. And then we'll get there. Okay, thank you very much. God bless.